not just one, but two starting pitchers.
Alex Anthopoulos pulled the trigger, and I think this is fantastic.
To think that Alex Anthopoulos was able to do that in one deal.
I love Anthopoulos for what he's doing. This is a guy at the blackjack table. He knows the time is now.
Alex, I look at this roster you've put together. 19 guys acquired through trade, some international free agents, 6 guys through free agency. Was there a method to your madness in putting together this roster specifically?
I'd love to tell you there was all kinds of science to it. It was just trying to get better. And it started with the rotation. I said that at the end of last year. And if we had chances to upgrade the outfield, the infield, things like that, we were going to do it. But like I said at the end of the season, if we didn't improve the rotation, it wasn't going to matter.
13 guys on this roster, or through the draft, how important is it for you to make sure the pipeline through your minor league system is steady?
Oh, it's huge. Just because I think with some of the policies we have in place, it's going to be hard for us to be a player in free agency. Not that the resources and the dollars aren't there. I think this offseason showed that, and even where our payroll is going to be. But you know, some of these contracts you're seeing 7 years, 8 years, we're just not really. That's not something we want to do. They're just too long for us. So, knowing we'd like to stay within 5 years and trying to get the marquee free agents, you're going to have to do it in trade. And in order to do that, you better have minor league talent in order to get those players. So, as much as we didn't spend a ton of money on big league payroll my first few years, we did spend a lot of money when it came to prospects, the international market as well. And you know, we used a lot of those resources now to make some of these deals.
When you took over, your minor league system was ranked 28th in the majors. Quickly, it's improved. How did you pinpoint areas where you could improve it?
Well, at the time, the collective bargaining agreement allowed for you to get draft picks for relievers and even utility players. So we thought that was a way to expedite it a little bit. And you know, we went out and selected the free agents that we signed. We did a bunch of short-term deals, one-year deals, but guys that we projected if they performed to a certain level would get us a draft pick back. So we did that. The flip side of it is your ownership still has to be on board with giving you the money.
You've had the reputation of being pretty fiscally responsible. You know, you're very penny wise, pound foolish. Do you think that trust that you built with the ownership group allowed you to do some of the things you did this offseason?
I wouldn't hope so. I mean, I think so. I mean, I think there's always been a trust there, and it starts with our CEO. He certainly has faith, and obviously our ownership as well. But I do think we've shown over time that we weren't going to spend for the sake of spending. I remember my first offseason as a GM, our CEO was asking me, do you want to go sign John Lackey? Do you want to go sign Bay? And they're very good players. And I just didn't feel like the roster was where it needed to be. And though they would make us better, it was going to be incrementally better, not to put us in the playoffs. And pretty much free agency, you're going to be paying more years, more money than you normally would like to. If you're doing it, you better feel you're that much closer to being that playoff team.
You know what the State of the Union is like every year. People asking you, what about this guy, what about this guy? And for a couple of years, you steadily said you're going to invest in your minor league system. That's not a sexy answer. How tough were those times? When
I got the job, I felt like no matter what, I'm going to have a few years that people are going to give me the benefit of the doubt. Whether I'm doing a terrible job or not, it's just life, it's just reality. People will be a little bit patient at the beginning. So the dirty work, in terms of if you're trading a Sean Markham for a Brett Laurie, hard to do 4 years in, 5 years in. No one wants to see you go backwards and trade your opening day starter. If you're trading a Roy Halladay away, no one wants to see that 4 or 5 years in. That's a tough thing to tell your fan base that we're going to get worse. So felt like if we're going to take the hit, PR-wise and so on, we have to do it early and take our lumps early. And sure, it's tough because I don't think too many fans are flying down to New Hampshire or flying down to Dunedin to go see the Florida State League team. And as much as we talk about our prospects and so on, Paul Beeston says it all the time, our CEO. 25 guys on the roster drive the organization. That's what drives the TV, that drives attendance, it drives staffing, all that kind of stuff. So knowing that the big league club was going to have its bumps early on was challenging, but we figured that was the time to do it early, and hopefully in time we'd be able to make the changes that we have.
With the expectations and the extra coverage, now comes maybe some more scrutiny on you. So far you've had the benefit of the doubt, but does the added scrutiny, does that worry you?
No, because I think I've been in the city long enough, and I've been around sports long enough, just as a fan, that it's going to happen. You're going to get killed as a GM one way or the other. I tell my wife all the time, I said, we bought our house. I said we were looking for a certain house before I got the job, and got the job, went up a little. But that's the only place we've spent money, and still drive a Honda, and she drives a Honda. And I even told her, I said, hey, if we buy this house, you're prepared that it could be 2-3 years from now we're putting up a sign, sell it. So that's not to say I don't believe in myself, but I'm very well aware I will get fired one day. It's just reality. People are going to be calling for my head one day. That's just reality. It's not something that anyone has any issue for me as who I am as a human being, but there will be issues. People, if the team isn't winning or I make some mistakes and I'm not getting the job done as a GM, someone else is going to come in here. So I try to and I want to be as below the radar as I can be. You know, I do stuff like this rarely. I haven't changed the way I live my life at all, and it's nice that, you know, everyone can get excited when things are going well. Everyone's giving you a slap on the back. You're great. But I've seen the other side when it's going poorly, and you're being screamed at on the street as well. So I want to be able to prepare myself for when it is over and just do my job, and hopefully the players are the ones that the media will spend time on.